Hey, Rainbow here and welcome to my channel. Today, guess what we're doing? We are going to change the chain on my Ducati Multistrada V4S. Let's take a look at how I do it. Come on, let's go. Hey, before we get started, just a couple of things. Number one, this is how I choose to do it, and I'm not saying this is the best way or the only way, but this is what has been working for me for over 40 years. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you, doesn't mean you agree with it, but it works for me. It's a simple chain change, and that's it. We'll get into the talk about the sprockets in a little bit, but right now let's just get involved with what we have going on. Thanks. All right, so let's talk about which chain that I got. As you can see, I went for something with a little more color to it. It is an EK motorcycle chain. This, of course, with the Ducati Multistrada V4S, the 2021, is a 525 pitch. And this particular one is specifically, right there, the 525 ZVX3. That's the chain that I decided to put on because, well, that's what was available. And the price was right, and it's rated for this bike. Well, how about the next thing? If I'm going to do a chain, I'm going to need a chain breaker and something to smash down on that rivet to keep the chain in place once I put the master link back in. In this particular case, I opted for the PBR Chain Tool. All right, it's good for 500, 525, and 530. Now, little disclosure here. I paid for both of these through Revzilla, full price, okay? And I am not sponsored by anyone. No one gave me any of this stuff. Everything here was completely and totally paid for by me. And these are the tools that I opted to use since I pretty much gave away or lost all of my other tools that I used to have, and I'm starting from scratch. So the PBR Chain Tool, I think it's a great tool. I've already messed around with it a little bit. Let's see how it works out on the Ducati. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is start checking the sprockets. Now I've been checking the rear sprocket. That's not a big deal. That's not, it's in good shape. I'll show it to you in a little bit. But let's start by looking at the front sprocket. In order to do that, we have to get a 4mm hex head. We're going to do 1, 2, and 3, and this part should slip out. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but the front sprocket is here. All right, and we'll talk about the sprockets as I get this open. So for right now, let's get this thing open and see what it looks like. And by the way, I think I have a helper here today. So Full Throttle Junkie is here. And he's gonna help me get this up. As a matter of fact, he might be doing all the work today so I can film, who knows? Yeah. Because I think he wants to get some stuff done on his bike too. Since we're having a good time in the garage here, let's just continue. Let's get these 3 things off here and open this up. All right, so now let's try to get this up and out. Look at that, came right off. Now we can see and take a good look at the condition of the front sprocket. As you can see, and you take a really good look at this front sprocket, and we've already rotated it around, it's in really good shape. Now, I'm going to talk about this because a lot of people will say, if you're going to change the chain, you have to change both the sprockets. You know what? In a perfect world, sure. But everything here is in really good shape. The rear sprocket's in good shape. Again, we'll take a look at that. The front sprocket is in excellent shape. It's not sharp toothing. It just looks very even. The wear is great. Let's actually spin it around and take a better look. And as you can see, the sprocket is in great shape. It's not thinning out. They're not getting pointy. We still have the nice flat spot. And I am not going to change it. Now, if you want to change yours, go ahead. You can say that I'm wrong for not changing it. The bottom line is it really doesn't need to be changed. I'm just being proactive and changing my chain. There's 25,000 miles on this bike, and this appears to be in really good shape. If you want to change yours, like I said, go ahead. I am not in the mood to rip all of this wire and stuff out of the way just to change a sprocket that really doesn't need it. The next time I change the chain, I guarantee you that there's going to be a new sprockets on the front and back. All right, and there's the rear sprocket. Rear sprocket appears to be in pretty good shape. No problems, the teeth are all looking good, really very minimal wear. So I am comfortable, this is my bike, I am comfortable just changing the chain and not worrying about the sprocket. If you're wondering why the chain looks a little on the rusty side, it's because I just cleaned it the other day and I didn't lubricate it because I thought I was actually going to change it that night. I never got around to doing it, so it sat and was used and I went through some rain. Anyway, it happens, but it's being replaced. But as you can see, the rear sprocket looks in great shape for this new chain. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to locate the master link. And as you can see where it was riveted in right here, this is the master link. Now the tool that it comes with, they clearly state that you can go ahead and put it on and push them right out. I look for an excuse to use a grinder on a regular basis. I love grinders. I don't want to get hung up the wrong way and end up ruining the pin on the tool. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to grind these off first. Just grind them down a little bit and make it easier on my tool so I don't break a brand new tool from Motion Pro.
Now,
all right, now we're going to use the Motion Pro, and as you can see, so Full Throttle Junkie is going to go ahead and set this up the right way. You're going to put the B on the brake, slap it in place, and now we're going to put it on the bike and set it up to break the chain where we've already gone ahead and run the grinder. All right, so what we're doing now is we're going to go ahead and put the tool in place. All right, and it's just critical, I mean absolutely critical, that you line up that hole with the pin. All right, so we're going to verify it and it should start pushing it right out. We're going to go back and forth from one to the other and one to the other. Let's go ahead and let's do that right now. So what you're going to need for this is you are going to need a 17 millimeter and a 14 millimeter. The bigger bolt that's going to hold everything in place for you is the 17, and then for the other side you're going to need the 14 to drive the pin in and push out the link. And this is exactly why I really like to go ahead and grind things off, because I've done it where you don't grind them off and you have so much pressure on that pin, you're trying to push it through and you're just risking breaking the pin. You see how much easier it is to just take literally 30 seconds and do a quick grind job on it. And as you can see, the pin is pushing out. All we're trying to do is just break this chain and get it open. The new chain is going to be the important factor. All right, so here you need a 36 millimeter 12 point. It has to be a 12 point, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to loosen this rear nut up, and then we're going to use a number 10 and a number 12, and what we're going to do is we are going to loosen up the chain. Here we're going to use a number 12 and a number 10 millimeter, and we're going to loosen this up and then screw this in, and we're going to loosen up this axle component here so that it moves forward and takes tension off of the chain. Okay, and one of the things I forgot to mention is we have to take these two 4 millimeter hexes out, and we're going to be removing this rear chain guard so that we can make it easier putting it on and easier to align the chain once we get up and running. All right, so everyone does things a little bit differently, all right? Here's what I know. There are exactly 124 links on the original chain. Now, I can just push this through. This is 150 links right here, okay? So I can just pull this through and try to mark it, but I'm gonna do things a little bit different because, well, I'm a little different. So the master link is 1, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna count out 123 links here, and then I'm going to add this one will be 124. This way I will be replacing 124 links with 124 links. Let's see how that works out. Okay, so there's two ways to do this. We can just pull the chain off completely, put the one next to it, and just simply go ahead and mark it where it's at and just replace the exact same amount of links. But then that creates a problem because then you have to go ahead and try to get everything through here by hand, or I can count it in advance put the exact amount of links, pull the new one through, or I could just pull whatever's in place all the way through and then mark it up like a lot of people do of what we think where it should be and then call it a day. So I'm opting to count the exact number of links. So I'm just being difficult, right? Am I being difficult?
I don't know, I'm just here changing the chain.
All right, so here's my mark. This is where I need to break this chain apart. And this will be exactly 123 links, plus the master link will be 124. I'm extremely confident. This is a little bit risky the way I'm doing it, all right? So will it work? And why is it risky? Because if I'm off on my count, I am screwed, okay? If I'm off by my count in the wrong direction, too long, it's not a big deal. I can take one off, but if I'm wrong in the short direction, then I'm screwed. So I'm gonna go ahead, I don't think we're gonna grind. We're gonna try to push this one through since the tool says you can do it and it's a brand new chain. Let's go ahead and try to push this through. All right, so now we're gonna test the Motion Pro tool without grinding to see if it'll push that pin through. So Full Throttle is right now getting ready and he's trying to line that up so that we can get moving. And now we're gonna have a lot of torque on this one for sure, because now we're gonna have that 17 millimeter really pushing hard. That 17 millimeter pushing really hard on that chain. All right, so it pushed right through. Life is good as far as I'm concerned. We're gonna go ahead and back that all right out, back that pin right out. It doesn't even look bent. I don't think it is. And now we can break the chain right here and connect it to the old chain. And once we connect it to the old chain, we should be good to go. Okay, so next up what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead, take off the old chain on the bottom. We're gonna put the new chain in, grab the brand new master link and just use, just put it in just to be able to pull it through. That's all we're gonna do. And now we can push it, or pull it right through, I mean. Okay, so we have a little issue here where the new master link, it was too thick to fit through the old chain. The old master link, well, not the old master link, but the old link that we pulled out was too damaged to fit through. So as a backup, what I do is I just keep some wire on hand. So I grab some number 12 wire, solid, just to hold these two together, just so we can pull it through the sprockets. So let's do that now. Okay, all right, and now we're gonna pull it through. All right, there's our house wiring being used to pull it through the sprocket. So the next item of preparation is getting the master link ready, and we're going to start off by putting some of the lubrication that comes with the master link and put on the first 2 X-rings. All right, so now we're going to put a little bit of grease inside the hole on both sides. We're going to put this link in from behind with the 2 X-rings already in place. You can call them an O-ring, I call them X-rings. And make sure that this is really heavily lubricated when you put it in there, because this is what's going to be sealed in place. We certainly want to make sure that we have enough lubrication on this master link. Now it's time to go ahead and get the other 2 X-rings on from the outside. All right, 1 and 2. And now we could start working on compressing on, right here, the plate of the master link. And then we will get it completely on utilizing the tool. Okay, once you get that plate on and the 2 O-rings in place, then we can set the tool on from Motion Pro, and we're going to finish pressing that plate on the rest of the way. But we're not going to press too hard, because if we compress it, then we're going to bind up the chain. So it's really critical that we make sure that we tighten it and set it in place without over tightening it. All right, so what we're doing is we're backing it off. We're taking the tool off, checking the alignment, making sure that it is going on nice and even, putting the tool back on, and then cranking it down. So it's just critical that this goes on perfectly even so that we don't screw up any of the rivets on the master link. And you can see the pin coming through. You can see the setup on the tool, how it's aligned, and we are just going to continue to do this until we have this exactly where it's supposed to be. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to mic out one of the existing links, and then we're going to check ours to see how much more we have to go. And the reason why we're doing that is, again, we do not want to over compress that link and pinch it, and you can end up ruining the X-ring or O-ring if you use the O-ring style, and you can end up binding up the chain in that spot. So we're just going to do a comparison from one to the next until we have it exactly where it's supposed to be. All right, now we're setting up the Motion Pro PBR Chain Tool, and we're going to put it in R for rivet and get ready to put it on and go ahead and get that master link taken care of. Okay, once that gets lined up, you're going to go ahead and compress this down. Now this particular chain on the box, nothing came with it to give me specs on exactly how far to take this, so we're just going to do it based on our experience and get that rivet in place. We're going to go one side, then do the other, go back and forth until they look even. And when you are done with the rivets on the master link, it should look something like that. And I put a little micrometer on each one of them, and they are nice and even. And there are no specs with this chain for this, so like I said, we did it according to our own experience. And then we're going to adjust the chain and make sure it's all lined up. And when we do that, I'm not going to show you exactly how to do that because I already did a video on that. If you want to see how to adjust the chain, click on the video link above. So that is it. The new chain is on. Again, if you want to see how to adjust it, there's a separate video. Everything's back in place. Over here, the cover plate to see the front sprockets back in place. I think the chain looks great. I just lubricated it and cleaned it up a little bit, and we're going to take it for a quick spin. Everything is adjusted. Well, there you have it. That's how I do it. Got a brand new chain on the bike, and we are ready to rock and get it out there, and of course stretch it within the first couple hundred miles so we can make an adjustment. But it feels good to have a nice new chain on the bike, especially on the Ducati Multistrada V4S. This is Rebo. Reminder again, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.